The year 2024 has been all the ups and downs for Hailie Deegan so far. While she did get off to a good start by securing a full-time seat in the Xfinity series, she lost that seat halfway through the year. Now she finds herself looking for another spot. However, sources have suggested that Deegan has already found a new team, and it is not in NASCAR. Hailie Deegan is clearly one of the top female motorsport drivers in America. Looking at NASCAR, there's no female driver who has accomplished as much as she has. So it's no surprise that she's attracting interest from teams outside NASCAR as well. And we are the channel to follow if you love NASCAR. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and let us do the rest. In the United States of America, there are two racing series that are very popular. One is, of course, NASCAR, and the other is IndyCar. Similar to NASCAR's Xfinity series, IndyCar has Indy NXT, which is posed as a feeder series. Many full-time IndyCar drivers start out in the Indy NXT series before advancing. Recent reports have suggested that Hailie Deegan will be heading to Indy NXT sometime soon. She was seen in Iowa attending the race last weekend. Although she refused to comment on anything at the moment, there has been some striking activity on her social media pages as well. Just before AM Racing announced that they would be parting ways with Deegan, we saw the driver remove AM Racing from her bio. Now, Deegan has strikingly followed Indy NXT and Andretti Global. Andretti Global has a very well-managed team in both IndyCar and Indy NXT. With Andretti, Deegan will have something that was missing with AM Racing. These are the resources and data to help and guide Deegan to become successful. Deegan will also not be the only woman in the series as she was in NASCAR. In fact, if she is to join Andretti Global, one of her teammates will be Jamie Chadwick, a 26-year-old British driver who has turned a lot of heads in the motorsport community by winning the W Series championship 3 times. After this, she made her debut in Indy NXT and she recently won her first race as well. There's no doubt that Andretti will be able to provide the same guidance and support to Hailie Deegan as well. There's no question that Deegan was not treated fairly by AM Racing. Even though Deegan was not performing well this season, it was only her first year in the series, and AM Racing has not helped her at all. They just sit back and expect a rookie to learn everything on their own. Well, that's not how NASCAR works. Bubba Wallace's spotter, Freddie Kraft, also sided with Deegan over AM Racing's decision to sack her. You can't build a program around an inexperienced driver. You don't know if your cars have speed if your driver doesn't have any experience at the track you're going to. So if obviously money is a big factor in this, but if there was a way to have Brett and Hailie there, I think it would have only benefited Hailie. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case. And now they're going to have to go and take a route of putting drivers in here to try to evaluate where their program's really at. And there's good people over there, like I said, and hopefully they get it sorted out. Concluding his take on the matter, Kraft was just hoping for Deegan's bright future, while also clearing her of any blame. Hailie lands on her feet somewhere. I'm sure she will. She's a talented race car driver. This is not on Hailie either. Unlike other better-funded teams, AM Racing runs only one full-time car in the Xfinity grid. Hence, Deegan had no one to compare her results with and no one experienced to help her with her performance. A lot of other drivers out there get mentored by NASCAR Cup Series veterans and current drivers. Deegan, on the other hand, did not have anyone. Despite this, Deegan managed to get a 12th place finish during the race in Talladega. While she may not have been able to deliver better results following this, it is important to keep in mind that this is her rookie year, and not a lot of current Xfinity drivers on the grid even managed to get 12th place in their rookie year. There's no doubt that Deegan will be able to perform much better with the right support and guidance, which Andretti could provide in Indy NXT. But the transition to IndyCar will not be that simple. There's a huge difference in the type of cars used in both series. While NASCAR Xfinity is more stock racing, which Hailie has grown accustomed to, IndyCar is open-wheel racing. The cars in IndyCar have a lot of technical characteristics, and driving these cars is much more complicated than driving the stock cars in NASCAR. Plus, there's the obvious difference in track layouts as well. While NASCAR usually races in ovals, IndyCar races in all types of circuits, including road courses, ovals, and street circuits. Hailie will have a lot of adjustments to make to get herself suited to the Indy NXT cars. However, she's not new to IndyCar. About 5 years back, she had her very first running in the open-wheel cars in IndyCar. A video from then recently surfaced, misleading fans to think that it's a recent video. However, Deegan herself commented on that video, stating that it's from 5 years ago. But given that Deegan already has a basic idea of how the cars react in the IndyCar series, she knows what she's getting into and is prepared to do it. Hailie Deegan is currently only 22 years old. She still has over a decade of racing left in her. But why did she suffer this year in the Xfinity series? As mentioned earlier, the lack of support and guidance from AM Racing is one factor. But there is another. All of NASCAR's drivers are run by their sponsors. Deegan herself was able to acquire some sponsors to support her in her journey. She herself has the highest fan following in the NASCAR community. This includes the Cup Series drivers as well. Thanks to her popularity, her sponsors wanted her to succeed and promote her up the ranks as soon as possible. Deegan's performances in the K&N Pro Series were impressive. However, as she entered the Truck Series, her performance started to fade. After racing in the series for 3 years, she only managed to get 5 top 10 finishes. It was clear that she was not ready for the Xfinity series, but her sponsors had other ideas. Here's Dale Earnhart Jr. to explain how Deegan's sponsors played their part in her downfall. Hailie is a product of a very challenging system, Earnhart Jr. theorized. This is the same for a lot of drivers that I've worked with, and a lot of drivers that I've seen that work their way from, whether it be racing at Millbridge, to late models, super late models, to truck and Xfinity opportunities that eventually come along. A lot of times, whatever the financial support is for a driver, it is very difficult, wherever that financial support is coming from, whether it's a sponsor, whether it's family. Whatever that support is, it's still a lot of money. A huge commitment. It's not forever. What happens is, and this is I believe somewhat similar for Hailie, is, in a perfect world, you would let Hailie or any of these other drivers run in that K&N series, or run super late models or run trucks a few more years. What happens is there's a bit of an urgency to try and move up and take the very next available opportunity at the next level, because the support financially is not forever, and you do not know when that finally dries up. For whatever reason, you lose that financial support. So every rung on the ladder that develops above you, whether it's the Truck Series or Xfinity Series, no matter how good or bad that rung is, you grab it. I think a lot of times drivers then ultimately end up in bad situations that don't pan out for them. And this is one of those scenarios where I think that she felt like, man, I've really got to take this. This is being presented to me and I've got to take it. It's Xfinity. I think I'll fit those cars better. I think I'll do a better job in this series. She took it, when it might not have been the opportunity she should have chosen. What other things she could have done, I do not know. Whether it had been staying in the Truck Series. But I see this with a lot of drivers that are trying their hardest to get to the very top, taking the next opportunity that presents itself at the next level, and trying to progress as quickly as possible. Because you can't sit here and fund a late model program, or a super late model program, or a truck program, or a K&N program forever. They're like, well, we're spending all this money, let's go spend it here. And they just end up in bad situations. It's about timing, but it's frustrating to see it. If Deegan had spent a year or 2 in the Truck Series, she could have developed a lot more as a driver before taking her talents into the Xfinity Series. This way, she would have been more prepared to face the challenges in pro NASCAR racing. But now it looks like Deegan is on her way to IndyCar with a strong team with infinite resources. We could see her start to make some progress in her career. It'll be interesting to see what decisions she makes in the coming weeks. Do you think Hailie Deegan will do well in the Indy NXT series? Post your thoughts in the comments section below.